Welcome to the Fair Chase Podcast.
It's like, yeah, it's going to be physically
gonna suck,
hard,
but
it's also like the best. It's later on, that's the story you tell.
I got a new strategy. You just go kind of lick your finger a little bit like this.
Aim high, play the wind.
And then you aim high, you play the wind. It's a new aiming technique that I'm working on.
You brought this up
Yeah.
is because you had target panic so bad.
Yeah, I didn't have it so bad. Before we jump into this episode, we have to thank a few companies that make this show possible. First up, Vortex Optics. We run their binoculars, spotting scopes, and a lot of their clothes in their Vortex wear line.
Quality
Hoodies.
sweaters and hoodies, t-shirts, hats.
Yep.
You can save yourself 20% on that stuff.
By
it's a
using
new code.
the code TFC20. Check them out. Next up, Trophy Line.
Trophy line.
No secret, we are saddle guys. We like to hunt in saddles, make the jokes if you want, but they're super light, super effective, and we're big fans of Trophy Line. This year we're going to be running the Mission platform or the EDP platform, depending, and running the Covert Light.
Yeah.
Nice and light saddle.
Lots of good adjustability on that. I feel comfortable walking with that thing out in the woods. Go check this thing out. Use the code TFC10 to save yourself 10% on the next purchase.
Next up, Prime. The bow that got me to switch back.
I feel like I got you to switch back.
You did.
But
it was
it's
a big
because
part.
of Prime's shootability.
Shooting your bow.
Their accuracy.
We're big fans of Prime. They're Michigan company. Jared's shooting the Nexus 4. I'm shooting the Nexus 2 this year. Go check them out, g5prime.com. Jim and Georgia from Bivouac Bow Co. make some beautiful bows. Everything from 3-piece takedowns to 1-piece wood bows. Everything's really beautiful. Made in Michigan. Go check them out, bivouacbowco.com. We're big GPS map users on our phone. I tend to get lost a lot, and Jared
tend to get lost a lot.
Jared can't always be next to me. When you don't have Jared with you, you can have a little Jared in your pocket.
Gross. That's an awesome platform. We know the guys. They're local here in Grand Rapids. And you can actually download other apps, stand locations, plot locations, whatever pins that you have, you can download them onto the HuntWise platform. So
you can give it a try.
You can just hit the ground
and you're not
running,
losing
just give
your
it a try.
research. Yeah.
So go check this app out, huntwise.com. You know, I was actually asked this weekend if we weren't partnered with Vector and like I had to shoot a different arrow, would I shoot Vectors?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I said, yes, of course.
Yeah.
I love them. I shoot extremely accurate with them. I've never broken one.
Yeah.
And the sweet thing is you pretty much just tell Isaac and the guys over there your draw length, draw weight, and I think your tip weight.
And they have
And then you customize the whole thing. And
You
they
can do
send
it right
them tip,
online.
cut, and everything. You don't have to mess with the bow shop or anything like that. Check these guys out, vectorcustomshop.com.
For 10% off your order at checkout, use TFC10. Good luck out there. Shoot straight. Welcome to another episode of the Fair Chase Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Justin Czar, bow hunter die. Justin, I've been watching you hunt for many years on the computer.
You just make me feel old.
You are old. You're not young.
I am old for sure.
Is he older than us?
Yeah, you're older than us. How old are you?
I turned just 41.
No, you
2
didn't.
days ago.
You play
2
young.
days
I
ago.
will say that. You seem mid-30s. You play young.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Yes.
No, I used to watch when you guys were newer. I remember watching. You were one of the first hunting web show-ish kind of things,
Sure.
and so you kept me away from my studies in law school for a long time. So I appreciate that.
I've heard that a few times from people.
Yeah.
Not necessarily law school always, but kept them from doing what they should have been doing.
Exactly.
In school.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be the vice. Somebody's got to be the vice. And so
Sure.
I'm glad to have you here. For people who don't know who you are, let's just start off and maybe, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do.
Oh man, that's a great long story, right? But obviously, as you guys introduced me, my name is Justin Czar. I live actually here in Illinois. What I do for an actual job, a real job that pays the bills, is I run an IT consulting and a web development company.
Oh, nice.
When I'm not doing that, we run bowhunting.com, and then we have Bowhunter Die, which is our online show that we have been doing for 12 seasons now. I think we're in our 12th year of doing it. Started in 2000. It's weird how this works. We started in 2010, but somehow this is our 12th season.
Yeah, right.
So 11 years, 12 seasons, however you want to call it. But I think we started bowhunting.com in 2008, I want to say it was. So 13 years of doing that. And then, 11 or 12 years of doing the show now.
What a great domain name to jump on.
Also,
Yeah, that's all Todd.
That was
that
good.
one wasn't me.
yeah, that's
Like bowhunting.com, like that's pretty good. Do you get offers? Have you ever gotten offers to like buy the domain or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm sure Todd has. I mean, so Todd started, so prior to bowhunting.com, really when I started working with Todd, it was, I think, '04 I started working with Todd.
Yeah.
And he owned huntingnet.com at that point in time and hunting.net. And what the history there is when he got out of college in the mid 90s, the internet was kind of like becoming a thing. So he just started going out and buying domain names. He had no idea what he was doing, what they were going to be worth. He maxed out every credit card he had. This is when domain names cost like $100 a year per domain. And I think today he owns about 1,600 of them. I think at one point he was up at like 2,000 of them. But yeah, he had huntingnet.com and hunting.net and a bunch of names like that when I started working for him. So we had HuntingNet was our first website, and I kind of jumped in and kind of quasi took over running that for a few years, and then we sold it in 2007, and then started bowhunting.com in 2008. So the company that bought hunting.net and huntingnet.com, they didn't want the whole portfolio of domains. They only bought maybe 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah.
So Todd held on to the rest of them. And then we started bowhunting.com in 08, but he owns like elkhunting.com, turkeyhunting.com, foodplots.com, bearhunting.com, I think, bunch of different ones. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I was kind of doing some research, and that was like one of the things that came to mind. Like, how do you? I'm glad like somebody has to pick up like the basic bowhunting.com domain names. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Todd bought it from a lady in Canada actually that owned it, and she wasn't even into hunting the way we are. She was into like hair bows or something like that. I don't even know why she owned it. So Todd bought it from her sometime in the late 90s, 80 or 98, 99, something like that, if I recall. He bought that name from her. I think him and one other person were trying to get it from her, and she just kind of liked him better, I guess.
Oh, hilarious!
So ended up selling it to him. So that's the history of bowhunting.com.
That's
not bad.
That's sales right there. I mean, you got to be liked. They got to like you if you're going to be good at sales.
When you have something to sell.
Yeah, that's right. So, you bought this domain name. You started bowhunting.com, bowhunter.die. You get that going. What made you think to do kind of a web-based video format? Because you guys were one of the first ones, I think, that did that. Is that right?
Yeah. So Todd and I mean, so I grew up, right? My dad owned an archery shop when I was young. Grew up watching. I would sit around after school watching hunting videos from little kid, like Fitzgerald's and
Roger
the
Ragland. Fitzgeralds.
Right. You guys are Michigan
Team
boys, right?
Fitzgerald. I mean, Dan and Guy. Oh yeah, I've been trying to get them on the podcast forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, grew up watching like those guys, Bob Fulcrod, Chuck Adams, reading his articles and books and whatnot. So that was kind of my upbringing, was really kind of in the bow hunting space. So that's kind of my history. Todd was, very much the same, grew up, as a bow hunter. Nobody in his family bow hunted. He just kind of got into it on his own. His family hunted and deer hunted, but he kind of got into bow hunting on his own, and whacked a pile of little bucks up in Wisconsin where his parents' property was at, growing up. And, that was kind of always our passion. So we decided to do bowhunting.com. But even before bowhunting.com, when we had HuntingNet, we got into filming our hunts. I want to say it was 2006 or 2007. So to make a very long story somewhat short, we had, through the web development work we do a lot of work for folks in the hunting industry. And back in those days, we were doing Lone Wolf's website. So when Andre still owned Lone Wolf, him and Todd were kind of buddies. Well, I think one of my first ATA shows, I met Andre, and I met a guy that was about my age that was working in Andre's booth at the time, named Todd Pringnitz, who started White Knuckle Productions eventually. So Todd and I became very good friends. Another Michigan guy, right? Kind of from your guys' area over there. So Todd started White Knuckle, and he was like, he needed people on his team to film. Yeah. So Todd Graff and myself, that was the first time we went out and bought cameras, old Canon GL2s, and started filming our hunts, was for White Knuckle when we first started. So then, we were filming for him. Todd was doing DVDs at the time. And then we started bowhunting.com. And I think like a lot of people that are filming for somebody else, what ends up happening is We go through an entire season. We film all these hunts, all these encounters, the storyline, and then you're just kind of a small part of someone else's bigger story, right? So a white knuckle DVD would come out, we'd get our little 5 minutes of, a video in there, and it was cool. We'd watch it with all of our buddies, but we're sitting around going like, my gosh, we have all this other footage. Like, what are we going to do with it? Right. And I remember I had left to go on an elk hunt. I came back from that elk hunt in Colorado, and I came to the office, and Todd was like, we're going to start a show and we're just going to put it on the internet. And I was like, all right. Like, nobody was really doing that at the time. This was right around the time, I think the first 3 was us, Winky with Midwest Whitetail, and then Grant Woods with Growing Deer. We were kind of the 3 originals.
Dudes.
Yep.
Those were kind of the 3 originals. So we all started right about that same time, like 2010. Had no idea what the hell we were doing. If you go watch our old episodes, they're like atrocious to watch because we had no idea what we were doing. But kind of just started from there, and then we started kind of growing our team out, through people we knew and people we met, and it kind of just took on a life of its own, really. And here we are, 11 years later, still doing it.
Yeah, still doing a lot of hunting. You said
awesome.
you're in Illinois, so you're a Bears fan?
Oh, I am a Bears fan.
Well, how do we feel about Justin Fields?
Are we going down this road right now?
A minute we are, yeah.
Everybody in Chicago feels the same way, right? Like, everybody's hoping he's the savior of the team, right? But looks like we got Dalton to start the season here, so we'll see what happens. I don't mind Andy Dalton.
No.
So we'll see what happens.
He's not the worst. He's been good for a while.
He is.
You can't throw.
He's a permanent backup
against. You cannot throw Fields in against the Rams week 1. That would be mean.
Probably not a good idea.
You'll break him. We broke Trubisky. We can't do it again.
Trubisky was.
He's just bad.
Oh, poor Mitch. Poor Mitch.
I know. He just destroyed.
Whatever.
us
You guys
last
are
2 weeks.
ecstatic to get him out of here.
Yeah.
It was just a failed experiment.
Yeah.
Are you guys Bears fans?
I'm a Bears fan. He's a Lions fan.
I'm a Lions fan. I am
a Lions fan.
From
well, I
Michigan.
mean, you suffered just as long as we have.
Way longer. They've never not suffered.
Longer.
We know.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the Bears won the Super Bowl. I was 5 years old. Like, I don't remember it, right?
Yeah.
And then they.
Yeah, but you can still claim it.
Remember when they went, though? That was cool.
What's that?
I said, remember when they went, though?
Remember when they went?
That was cool.
Yeah, I remember when they went. And to this day, the Monday after the Super Bowl is the only time I've called into work because I was too hungover to actually work. That
was the
time I've called the hangover in my life.
That was the year James actually became a Bears fan.
A
real bandwagon fan.
No, so the most excited I've ever been in any sporting event was the opening kickoff of the Super Bowl. The Colts decide to kick to Devin Hester. He ran it back, and I thought that was like pinnacle, probably the best moment of sports that I've ever seen.
That was pretty amazing. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was at a bar, all my friends.
That would probably be pretty cool too.
It was like, oh my God, we're gonna win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Like, when it starts that way, you're like, we got this.
Yep.
But not so much.
I went a year later.
Went down to Peyton Manning in Harrison.
And Tony Dungy out coach. No, so I went the next year. I went to Soldier Field, and I went to, or maybe it was the year prior. The Bears were playing the Broncos. Jay Cutler was on the Broncos at the time, and Hester ran a punt and a kick back while I was there, and like the place was shaking. It was just going so nuts, and we won in double overtime. One of the best.
That's probably
games.
a really good game to be at.
Well, Soldier Field's cool. So
Soldier Field's great.
Back to hunting. So you started this hunting show. What made you think that you were worth watching?
Ooh.
That's a great question. Really, I think we're like everybody, right? I mean, like, honestly, I'm not sure we even thought we were worth watching.
Right.
We were just like, we have a website, we need content for it.
Yep.
So, and we're already making videos, so let's just start putting them out.
Yeah.
And, I think, and not that this hasn't been done a million times over, but people, they kind of play the everyman angle, like, hey, like, we're just regular dudes. And I think, for most of our guys, like, that's the reality of it. Like, we are. Like, I have a legit full-time 8 to 5 day a week job. I don't get to go hunting for a living. So we were just guys that were passionate about doing it and thought we had some interesting stories to share.
Yeah.
So we kind of just did it. I don't think we ever thought anybody would really watch it.
Yeah.
To be completely honest with you, we didn't set out with that goal in mind. We were just, we had this website. We had people writing for us. We had people coming to the website. We had a lot of history with building websites, and we were like, we need content. Seems like people are watching more content online.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's do this and let's see what happens.
Yep.
I think, fortunately for us, we were one of the early adopters.
Right.
So when there's very limited amount of things to choose from, like
Your
people are
grandfathered
naturally gonna
in.
watch you. And
Yeah.
yeah, we're grandfathered in, right? Whether we're good or not, we're kind of grandfathered in. But, fortunately, we seem to have been at least fairly successful at it. So, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know what made us thought we were good enough. I think we all just wanted to I grew up, like, the guys that I really grew up watching, like, besides the Fitzgeralds, it was really Drury Outdoors. Like, Drury Outdoors kind of through my high school years and just out of high school. And I mean, I can remember waiting for their videos to come out and, like, driving to Bass Pro Shops, like, the day they were buying them and going home and watching them. So, like, we always just wanted to film our hunts and, like, make videos, I think, is what we wanted to do. We didn't really give much thought in whether they were very good or not. We just wanted to do it.
Well, it's funny. People do work that working man angle a lot of the podcast, but like Jared, Jared and I are elite. We're actually only catering this podcast to the elite people, the one percenters, if you will. Everybody
Fair
else,
enough.
you can turn it off. We can't relate. No, that's
of the best.
Exactly. No, we're you kind of see the same thing. Everybody's got kind of their full-time job, and then their part-time job, or however you want to describe the what you do with hunting, and like the hunting industry is
than a job.
Passion, yeah.
exactly. It's something you care about.
Good money, usually.
Yeah. It's like, how do I figure out a way to do the thing I like best, and then hopefully cover some of my costs, and that's about it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh no, that's really cool. No, and even just like wondering what makes you worth listening to or watching. I've thought that a lot. Like, we never thought about that at the beginning when we started the podcast, but I asked somebody else the other day the same thing. Like, why should people listen to you? I'm like, man, I never actually thought that about myself, and I could not give a great answer.
Which is why we asked you.
I really like to hunt and talk about it. That's about it.
Yep.
Yeah, and everybody, and we've had a lot of conversations through the years, about direction, storytelling, quality of footage. I mean, the reality is, in today's world, like, there's more content out there than ever before.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's podcasts or YouTube videos or other Roku channels or anything like that, like, there's an infinite amount of content to pick from. So you have to, it kind of forces, like, competition is good, right? It raises everybody's game.
Yeah.
So it forces everybody to start, instead of just being like, hey, I'm going to go out and film something, like, it kind of forces you to take stock, figure out what your goals are, and then have a plan, hopefully, and then kind of work towards that plan.
Yeah.
So we actually just this past weekend had the majority of our team together. We usually like to get all the guys together once a year. We usually like to do it earlier in the year, but with COVID and everything, we kind of pushed it to later, which obviously didn't do us a whole lot of good, because a couple of my guys missed the meeting because they have it right now. But we try to get together to kind of talk about the fall and what kind of our storytelling is going to be like, what our goals are for the fall, things like that. So we had, I think, 13 or 14 of our 20 guys, got together this last weekend and did that.
20 guys. How'd you guys build the team like that?
Hey, man, I know a guy.
Yeah, it's like, is that how it went?
So our core group is a lot of guys that have been with us from the beginning. It's, to be honest with you, it's a funny thing. It's like a bunch of guys that we met on the internet in the early days of doing this. Guys that we met on the forum that were, friends of ours that kind of signed on and wanted to do it. A couple of guys that we met through White Knuckle, actually, when we were filming for them. A couple of guys kind of hopped over and joined our team. And then from there, every year we get people that come to us and say, hey, I want to do this. I want to be a part of the team. So we do have like an application process we kind of make people go through. And then, if we get somebody that kind of catches our eye for one reason or another, we may give them a shot.
Yeah.
We've had some hits. We've had some misses through the years, with teammates. It's just like any business, right? You don't get them all right. But, we've got a really good core group of guys. We haven't really added many or any new folks in the last couple of years, because trying to just manage a team of that size is pain in the ass in and of itself.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, we've just kind of picked up. We started with maybe 8 or 10 guys. I think we were as much as 25 or 26 at one point. Now we're at like 20, plus Todd and myself, so 22 if you count us.
Yep.
You know what we've learned from history is
What?
that great associated groups are built in a bar.
In a bar.
In a bar.
Our best relationships, you're saying?
No, I'm saying the best groups of things.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Go ahead.
Hunt or Die,
Yep.
born in a bar.
Okay.
Marine Corps, Ton Tavern.
Oh, yeah.
Born in a
wow.
bar.
That's a reach, but all right. Yeah.
You know,
That's a big comparison.
Did I
there.
just compare them to the Marine Corps?
You did.
No, but you just get a bunch of dudes
We'll take it.
sitting around and they're like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
That's right.
Where do I sign?
Yeah,
Yeah,
where do I
that's
sign?
right.
But no, I get it. That's being able to reach out into the community, even if it's in like a close proximity of your close friends. They may know somebody, or like you were just saying, how you just can get connected by and to other people in the industry, just being a part of the industry.
Yeah.
It just reaches.
Yeah.
You can reach out and just touch so many more different people.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Love meeting new people. A lot of people know a lot of stuff that I don't, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's
Exactly.
that's actually one of the things we just talked about at our meeting is like every guy on our team has got his own unique spin on the way that he does something, whether it's the way that he approaches hunting, how he sets up his gear, how he like everybody's got something that's unique to their way and their style. And our goal for this year is to try to get that story out of each person.
Yeah.
So if everybody watching the show can take away one little nugget from somebody,
Yes.
Yeah.
just something that they do that's unique to them, where somebody looks at it and goes, oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Right. I think that would be worthwhile. We actually had a couple guys out, some new guys that came out to the meeting this year, and they were showing us like, so I know you guys do some saddle hunting as well, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of saddle hunting's new for everybody, right? But really new for us. I mean, I've been hunting out of a lone wolf for the last 15 years, and now we're trying the saddle thing out. So we had some more experienced saddle guys out, kind of just showing us a few tips and how they do things and set things up and pack their gear in and whatnot. And it is amazing how those little details make a big difference in your hunt.
Oh, huge for saddle hunting.
It's amazing that the history of the saddle and how long it's actually been around.
I know. Well, it like went live for a while. Everybody kind of forgot about it. I said on the podcast for a while. I had
Like
Steve,
15, 16 years ago.
My cousin Steve told me at one time, I was asking about it because he worked at Cabela's. I'm like, hey, you heard this saddle thing? He's like, yeah, you hit one wrong button, your whole saddle falls out of the tree. I'm like, really?
He would say something.
Man, that doesn't seem like you don't want that.
One wrong move, dude, you're dead.
That would be
dead,
bad.
Yep.
You're dead. You're dead. You're
I
dead.
got a funny picture. I got it on my phone here. I need to show you guys. So, like I told you, my dad owned an archery shop when I was growing up. Subscribed to every bow hunting magazine there was. We got
Yeah.
Peterson's Bow Hunting,
Oh yeah.
Bow Hunter, Deer and Deer Hunting, North American Whitetail, you name it. I read all of them. And my dad passed away a few years back. I was cleaning out his house. We had a big stack of magazines, and I kept a handful of them
Sure.
because I thought they're pretty cool. So I don't know if you guys would be able to see this, but this is from a Peterson's Bow Hunting magazine in 1989.
Oh,
Shoot, yeah,
hilarious.
look at that little strap.
thing. And look at that bow.
Getting you to subscribe to their magazine. That's 1989. That magazine was from.
That's what I'm
Hilarious.
saying.
Right.
They've been around
Shows
for
you
a
how
long
Bow
time.
hunting's been around.
Yeah, I was 1 year old when that
That doesn't look very safe to me.
No, he looks like he's gonna spill right out the top.
It looks way
Yeah,
worse.
no doubt. And he's just got his feet right on the tree. Like the technology's come a long way, but so I know you guys work with the Trophy Line, right?
Yeah.
I think. So we're working with the guys over at Tether now. So
Sure.
I met Greg and Ernie, and they came out to our meeting, and I was talking to them, about some stuff with the saddles, and it is just amazing, like how quickly it's blown up in the last couple of years, because it has been around forever. Like I'm a forum guy. Like before social media, before Facebook, like we had forums, message boards.
I like forums.
But I've been around them I've been around them and kicked off a lot of them for many years.
Forums had
You
the
know,
original
and,
emojis, I feel like.
The
original little-
the one with the guy drinking the beer.
Or
You know.
Bart Simpson.
The
or
little smileys.
the
Yeah.
smileys. Like
I can
everyone,
remember like once a year we'd get somebody that would come on the forum and start a saddle thread. I mean, this is going back to the early
Hilarious.
2000s, and we were all like, seriously, dude,
Yeah.
saddle, like just go,
get out
go
of here.
away.
Get out
Beat
of
it.
here.
Beat it, dude.
Weirdo. And now, you look at what's happened really in the last probably 3 years, I
Yeah.
think it's been, it's incredible. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing the amount of companies that are springing up, the amount of updated gear that's coming out with platforms, climbing methods,
It's
rope
crazy.
attachments, and aiders, and holy crap, there's more stuff that I could keep up with.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, I need all this stuff to go saddle hunting.
Well, you want to talk about how everyone has something different and how they've got their own set and process?
Yeah.
Talk to a saddle hunter
It's
about
always different.
you do stuff that's different than what I do.
Well, he does it wrong. You do it wrong.
Well, I'll do it right because I'm right-handed.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, everything from like literally, we're right before you popped on, we're talking about how I got these Amsteel rope mods for my.
Yep.
So I've done rope mods in the past, but I've got Amsteel, which are like way thinner and way lighter, and so that's like my innovation of the year. But every single year,
You have two innovations.
what's my other one?
You
Oh,
wrap
tape.
the
I just-
pre-wrap.
Yeah, I used like self-adhesive camo tape.
No, it's athletic pre-wrap.
Is it pre-wrap? Is
It's
that what it's called?
athletic pre-wrap.
Athletic pre-wrap.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's self-adhesive. It sticks to
self-adhesive.
itself.
That's right. It looks like pre-wrap.
Yeah. And I taped my sticks, my platform. It is like you can hit on it. It's totally silent. I don't know if it'll last a year. That's the big question.
And it costs like $12 for like 12 of these rolls on Amazon.
Yeah.
So it's not
well,
like
they
you're spending $50.
they make the stealth strips,
Right.
which are a little bit more expensive.
Which I love.
Oh, yeah.
I strip everything.
Oh yeah.
Sale, I don't know, a while ago where they were selling like odd size like rolls of it or something. And I bought like a dozen of
Yeah,
them.
Smart,
should've
see?
done
I was just like, give me all of it. I love it.
Yep.
You gotta
I've got a
strike
guy
when
in
the
the
strike when the pan's hot.
I've got a guy in the tape game. Yeah. Yeah, man. And he's looking into some solutions for us. Some tape
I
solutions.
love to hear that.
So
Give me some
I just told him
3D
what I
tape.
needed. He sells to Home Depot and big companies, and I'm like, here's what I need, this kind of tape. And so he's looking into it for me. He's redoubling his efforts. He's going to come back and give me a report on something that might be.
You piqued my interest. Now
Yeah,
you have
John
my
Cool.
attention.
Cool.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to put it on your platform,
Yeah.
right? It's gotta be durable.
Yeah, and it can't squeak. I've had some squeaking tape, or like I sprayed it with some stuff, and it ended up like my boots always squeak on there especially when it got a little
Yep.
wet.
Mhm.
Can't have that. All right, so you mentioned, everybody in your team, you're focusing on like what their unique thing is, maybe what their unique approach is. What's
Sure.
your unique approach?
My unique approach. Oh goch.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you bring to the table?
I haven't
Yeah, what is it?
that far, guys. I just had my meeting this weekend.
What's your, so let's do it this way. Like,
He's got written down in his arm.
Yeah.
1 second.
yeah,
Hold on.
I'm a good
that's
leader.
yeah.
I
Bow hunt or die. So like, are you mobile? Are you, are you heavy into the scent free game? Like, what's your approach? Are you aggressive? Do you sit back and kind of move into more tactically? How do you look at hunting?
Man, it's funny how that changes through the years, right?
Yeah.
Man, I'm a bit of an enigma. I think
Okay.
I'm a little bit of everything, right? So I've got a couple farms that I hunt that I've been hunting for a long time. So I do a ton of pre-hung stands.
Yep.
And I'm still going to go on record by saying that is my favorite way to hunt.
Sure.
I like the saddle. I like being mobile. I also like climbing into a lone wolf that I've already hung. All my gear's there.
Takes
My
3
lanes are
minutes.
trimmed.
Yep.
it's awesome. You just show up
it's
and everything's
awesome.
there.
I love the run and gun thing
Mhm.
too. Like, that's exciting. I like checking out new areas, doing new things. But after like a few days of doing that, I'm like, you know what? I just want to go climb into a pre-hung stand and chill, right?
If I
Every
did-
once in a while.
You know what they
Dave-
call those people?
Yeah, no,
just
day. I'll say this: day 5 of
Yes.
hunting morning and night, setting up a tree stand in the cold every time. It does wear on you.
Kicks
It's
on you, man.
it's mentally taxing to do that.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. So for me, my priorities have changed a little bit. My oldest child is old enough to go hunting with me now. He
Nice.
shot his first deer last year.
Nice.
So, I dedicate probably a good chunk of the early part of my season to taking him out as much as I can,
Mhm.
trying to get him a deer. Hopefully once I kind of get that out of the way, if I'm a good guide again this year,
Yeah,
then I can
right.
kind of do some rut hunting. I am definitely more of an aggressive hunter for sure. I have no problem diving in and going after them. I think as I've gotten older, I've realized that we do have a limited window and a limited amount of time
Exactly.
to do this. So, and I think that we tend to give deer too much credit at times. I think that people often push off traits of human beings onto deer,
Yeah.
not realizing that it's just a deer. right? And it can't make the connections that we think they make sometimes. So I think people pussyfoot around a little bit too much with getting in and getting after them. So I do like to be more aggressive when I can be. When I do kill most of my deer, usually late October is my favorite time to hunt. Last week in October, I kind of suck at killing deer during like the main 10, 12 first days of November. And then usually after the 13th, 14th, I have pretty good luck from there through the 25th or so of November are kind of my favorite times to hunt. Something about that first week and a half of November. I know everybody loves it. Sweet November and catchphrases. Yeah, I kind of suck at it. So I like to figure out where the bucks are at, last week in October and get in and get after them if I can. So that's my thing is really just, I'm more of I look at hunting from like a really macro level, like a high level. And I try to figure out, what the deer are doing. Sometimes I think when we look at movements and things, we look at it in such a narrow scope that we miss kind of the bigger picture of it. So I like to kind of zoom out a little bit, and I'm focusing more on those macro movements than I am like the micro. But it is interesting because when you're bow hunting, the micro is what, leads to success, right? You have that larger overview of what they're doing to figure it out. But when you get there, the decision of the right tree versus the wrong tree can mean success or not success. So you kind of have to be good at both, but I tend to play the bigger game is really what I'm trying to look at in my hunting.
Yeah, you miss the what is it? You miss the forest in spite of the trees, right? And so I get that way a lot. I get very hyper focused on a very small thing, and then you kind of forget what's going on. Well, it's interesting you say last week of October. Jared,
what quote is that from?
It's just like a saying. It's a thing. It's
okay.
known.
Okay.
It's like when in Rome.
This is known.
You can't see the forest for the trees, right? That's the thing, right? Yeah.
I like it.
Or like
I know I've heard it before. It's not my first time hearing it. I just want to know if it came from somebody.
It's like one of my favorites. Sometimes the juice ain't worth the squeeze.
That is,
overused.
overused.
No, it's awesome. It's funny you say last week of October. Jared and I are going to a place we've never been, an island in Lake Michigan to hunt. Take a boat out there, which I got set this week. You're welcome.
Oh boy.
But it's the last week of October, which historically, actually, I've not done great. I'm fine early season. I've done fine in, the early November period. But like that last week of October, what's your approach? Like say you're in our shoes. You're going to a new area. It's an island that is only inhabited by people hiking through. It's North Manitou Island for anybody that's listening. How would you approach something like that?
If I was in your guys' shoes, I'd be hitting the ground running, scouting, fresh sign. Especially like any new spot you go to, like sign ski, find the deer, get aggressive, get on them. You probably got a limited amount of time to hunt.
Yep.
I'm guessing like a few days, late October. So I'm looking for fresh rubs and scrapes and tracks, like period. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm setting up on. The bucks are active that time of year, but they're not. What I like about it is they're not like crazy fast cruising around like they are during the rut, especially for guys like us that self-film a ton.
Yeah.
Self-filming during the rut, like the peak of the rut, totally sucks because the deer are just running everywhere. You can't get them to stop. Late October, like they're moving with purpose, but they're not running with their mouths open and their tongues hanging out yet. Right. They're not completely insane, but they are definitely, provided you got decent enough weather, they're going to be on their feet. They're going to be moving. Scrapes. I love scrape hunting the end of October. I think that's probably the best time to do it.
Are you hunting over them? Are you throwing a stand like right by them, or what? Are you hunting on the way to them, or what are you thinking?
I'm not necessarily hunting right on top of them all the time. In a lot of cases, where we hunt, a lot of the scrapes like that, there's just no good trees around like to actually hunt. We got these big, huge overhanging branches on the edges of fields, and you can't really shoot to the scrape. So I will hunt in sight of them, but usually not right over them. I don't think I've ever killed a buck on a scrape, but I'm definitely watching and monitoring scrapes because I know they're going to be in those areas for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, that's kind of what I've been thinking too. I mean, we've talked about it a lot lately. It's just getting out of the mindset that, looking at the map and deciding this should be a good spot. And I mean, sometimes it's helpful and sometimes it is a good spot, but half the time it's like, that should be a good spot. Well, you have to go and check. Because it could be there are no tracks, no scat, no bedding, no anything, and you got to move. And so my hope is for that island, we can just take a lot of the hiking trails. Like deer are probably used to people walking through all the time. And so it should be an interesting hunt. But I figured, if that's your specialty, we gotta use any tips you have, any tricks you might have.
Late October evenings mostly. I mean, I've killed a decent amount of them in the mornings as well, but late October evenings, just near fresh sign. I mean, that's the number one thing that I'm looking for. And a lot of us get complacent when we hunt the same farms year in and year out, and we kind of don't do a lot of that in-season scouting. Again, I think a lot of people are like scared.
Yeah.
They're scared to walk the woods. They're scared to bump deer. They've got their sanctuaries and all that jazz that they've heard about. I really don't believe in any of that.
Really? So you're just going right in and just checking?
I just dive right in. If you jump a buck, like you jump him, he's not going to be gone. I'll give you a wonderful example. So one of the guys that films for us, Clinton Fawcett, he's down in central Illinois.
Yep.
He's in Fulton County. He's got an absolute giant deer that he's chasing right now. This deer was probably 160-inch 3-year-old last year. He let him walk late season, blew up. He's 190-some inch, 4-year-old this year. This deer's out in a field feeding next to a road every day where everybody can see him. And have been going out there, getting out of the truck, running after the deer to scare it out of the field because they don't want it feeding in this field right next
People
to the road.
knowing about it, yeah.
And the deer comes back every day in this. They've literally got out of the truck and chased him on foot, yelling at him.
Hey, you get.
And he's still coming out every single day in the same spot.
Now,
chased by him 5 times.
I feel like I would, like opening day,
Yeah.
camel up. Actually, no, I'd probably just wear street clothes.
Yeah, just walk. Every time,
Run right at him.
Yeah, that's right. Run right at him.
These idiots again. Whatever,
Yeah.
dude.
The problem is our opening day is too late. Are you guys October 1st or are
yeah.
you earlier?
First.
Yeah, October 1st is just like, I feel like between now and then, everything changes so much.
Dude, between September 20 and October 1, it's total you can't even rely on. I always put cameras out and I'll see bucks and it's like, oh, September 25, he was there. Sweet. Over and over and over again.
No.
And I'll go right there and it's October 1 and he's not even in the area anymore.
Yep. Yeah, I see that a lot. I was just complaining to one of my friends about that the other day because, so where we're at in northern Illinois, our acorns are dropping like crazy right now. Our white oaks are raining acorns, and the deer are absolutely hammering them. But the problem is, by the time the hunting season rolls around, most of the trees are done dropping, and those deer are moving off the acorns. If we opened September 1st,
Yeah.
I got a couple bucks I could probably go kill. Right now I know where they're at. They're in there every night chowing acorns. But by the time once the velvet comes off, once the temps cool a little bit and those acorns start slowing down, things change quite a bit. And if we get the right temperatures and we get that nice cold snap, like the first couple days of October, seems like you can have pretty good luck.
Yep.
But you gotta hit it just right. If we get a year where it just doesn't line up, really hard.
Yeah, so I'll have a very good October 1, 2, or 3 period, and then it's kind of slows down until the end of October again.
Yeah.
And obviously
killed a handful of them 18th,
Yeah.
19th, 20th. I know Todd Graff has as well. So, I mean, but again, every time we do that, it seems to coincide with a pretty good weather front.
Yeah.
You got to have the right temperatures. If it's too warm in the middle of October, just seems like there's not a whole lot you can do with that. So,
They move to entirely new areas. A lot of times they're pressured super hard in the first week and a half, 2 weeks, and they'll go to private or they'll go just deep, and it's not the lull. I wouldn't say that's a thing, but they do change significantly, and it's really hard to figure out. Once you do figure it out, I mean, you can find a lot of success, and I know some guys that do, but it's not easy to do.
Yeah, it certainly isn't easy to do. I've got on my home farm, the one that's closest to my house here, we've got a deer out there this year. He's 7 years old.
Sheesh.
And he moves in about the middle of August, I should say, about when our acorns start coming down, and like clockwork, he moved in again this year. I'm getting pictures of him constantly. And I think the latest I've had a picture of him in October is maybe October 5th.
Okay.
And then he vanishes, gone. Don't see him again. Some years he shows up near the tail end of our season, maybe late December, early January. Other years it's not until February when he shows back up. But he's basically gone all of October, all of November, usually most of December. and then he comes back. I don't know where the hell he's going. Obviously, he's not getting killed wherever he's going to.
He's smart.
Because he
There's a
keeps coming
reason.
Back
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're kind of so my buddy that I hunt with, we're trying to formulate a plan where if we get good enough weather those first couple days of October, we're really going to try to go after him hard because we have a feeling he's gonna disappear, and one of these years he's not going to come back.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give it our all this year and see what happens.
Well, some year some coyote is going to get him, or a car, or actually I just saw this video. I think it was like, what is that? Nature's Metal or something like that.
Yeah.
I love the Instagram.
Oh,
page.
dude, it's so good.
It's so good.
This deer is sitting there in I think it was a lynx. I think it was in Canada.
Tearing
lynx.
its guts out.
And it just jumps out of the snow and it takes down this full doe. It was a doe. Takes it down. And it's literally like it's only like this big compared to the deer on its neck. It was incredible. So everything wants to kill him. So it's like you feel like you only have limited time, and the fact that it's lived 7 years, that's pretty incredible.
It's amazing. When he was 2 and 3, he was on our farm all the time. We found his sheds, saw him all fall, and then something happened when he turned 4. He found a rut spot or a fall spot that he liked better, and he literally just poof, disappeared. And I haven't yet to figure out where he goes. I know some of the guys that hunt around us, allegedly nobody's seen him or gotten pictures of him. So I really don't know what he does. He crawls into a bunker somewhere and just lays low until the rut's over, I think.
It's not bad. For us, they always go deep in the swamp. If you go in the swamp, that's where we get a lot of swamps where we hunt. We're swamp people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm like suburbs of Chicago. We're like the outskirts of the suburbs where this deer is at. So
okay.
I don't know if he could just be going into a forest reserve, really.
Oh yeah. Well, where'd you shoot yours in Illinois? That big buck you shot, was that Joliet?
Joliet.
Where are you?
Joliet.
Yeah.
Of us, yeah.
Yeah.
Were you on the public down there, or were you on private?
It was private.
It was a company, a large company there had land, and you knew a guy. You were dating a girl who had her dad had access, and Jared got one hunting before they broke up. That was a good move.
Good for you. Yeah, that's a great area. There's a big national, I don't know, prairie down there that's got some public hunting, and it was closed for many, many, many years. It's the old Joliet Arsenal is what it was. It's called Midewin National Tallgrass.
Yep, that's where Jake Heitman used to hunt.
Yeah, it was closed forever to hunting, and then they opened it up. In the first couple of years they opened it up, like some absolute slammers came out of that place. Giant deer. It's a hard spot to hunt. I've walked it a bunch. I never really hunted it because you had to have filming permits because it was National Park Service.
We've done that stuff before.
But now that's all been overturned and they ruled it, I guess, illegal to make you have a filming permit in national parks. I've thought about going down there and checking it out. It's no motorized vehicles, so you got to park and either walk or ride a bike in.
Yep.
So it's a cool place, man. It's a cool place down there. I've been meaning to get down there and hunt. One of these years I'll actually do it.
That was the place. So my brother-in-law used to live in Homer Glen, if you know where the area is, right in there. He went to Midewin, and he's like, hey, man, he had just started hunting. I got him into it. He's like, I'm going to Midewin. It's kind of the rut. Like, what should I do? I'm like, I don't know. It's Illinois. I've not spent – this is probably 7-8 years ago. I'm like, I've not spent a lot of time in Illinois. I know that there's not a lot of hunting pressure. You got to go balls to the wall, get some urine, some estrus, and just do a drag line and just see what happens.
Sure.
I'm like, plus it's his first time. If a small buck comes through, he's gonna lose his mind. It'll be sweet. So he goes out, he drags a line, and then he just keeps dragging it, and he sits on the ground, right? And so he literally dragged it right to him.
And drops it right next to him.
And just right next to him. So he's like, I'm sitting there in the dark, and I look up, and there's a moose in front of me. I'm like, what are you talking? He's like, there's the biggest buck I have ever seen. And he is 10 feet. He followed the drag line and literally walked up to Jake in the dark. So he's like, you can just see the sky is kind of getting light, and you can just see the outline of this deer on top of me. And he's like, I freaked out. So I went, and tried to scare him away because I didn't know what to do. And so I'm like, well, I should have told you, don't drag the drag right up to where you sit down.
Right to you.
Because I gave him the spot to sit. I mean, it worked out beautifully. It was a good ground blind spot. But yeah, you can't drag it right to you.
Yeah, it's funny the things that beginners do, right? That like more experienced guys we take for granted.
Yeah.
I talk about this with guys on my team a lot when they're explaining their hunts to people or coming up with content. All the things that we take for granted that's second nature to us.
Yeah.
I go out and hunt with couple guys that haven't been doing it, super long, and like I noticed the mistakes that they make, and I'm like, well, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
But they just don't know. Like nobody ever told them. They never really thought about it. They never lived through that experience. So I think there's always a lot of room to educate people there about things that the more experienced guy, like it's second nature to us. Like we think about it, but we don't think about it at the same time.
Right.
And if we don't think about it because of second nature, sometimes it's hard to teach somebody because you're not even thinking about it.
Well, and sometimes when you're not thinking about it, you just don't do it. Yeah, like
sure.
I'll just kind of like I'll take it for granted, and then I end up not doing it. Or I always have to correct Jared. Like half the time he's in the woods, just walking around like an idiot. I gotta really rein him in with the basics. So you're welcome for that.
Gotta learn how to be quiet when you're walking.
He just runs around. Actually, the buck run. Well, that's a discussion for another time. But Jared does the patented buck run during the rut, and I mean it brings the bucks in from miles away. So, anyways, well, Justin, I appreciate you coming on. We're coming up on time here, and you let me get one last shot in at Jared before the end of the podcast, which is always a win for me. But for people who are listening and they want to like check you guys out, what's the best way to follow you? I know you guys have been hunting already. You're looking at doing some more stuff. Where can they follow that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously the website, right, bowhunting.com, best place to go. Obviously, you can look it up on Facebook. We're just Facebook/bowhunting. We were lucky enough to get that one. And then Instagram, we're at bowhunt-or-die.
Yep.
So one of those three places is your best option, or go to YouTube and just look up bowhunting.com on YouTube as well. We're all over the damn place.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming out. We appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode. We really do appreciate it. If you want to go on to any kind of social media platform, give us a like, share, subscribe. It'd really help us out. Keeps the train rolling. And if you guys really like what you're listening here, give us a 5-star
Either way,
review.
even if you don't like it.
Even if you don't like
review.
it, 5 stars.
That'd
Helps
be
everyone
cool.
out.
We'll see you out there.